Jalen Milroe, highly athletic, elite rushing upside. So of course we're going to love him for fantasy. But we got to remember at the quarterback position, there's more to just rushing. He's got to be able to complete some passes. Coming out of Alabama, Kenny, are you excited by the potential, or are you a realist that this guy has got some serious flaws in his game?
I would just draft him just for the fun of it, because I think he'd be fun to root for. There are some huge, giant gaping holes, and I would, I'm always, I think, the guys, I think every year I come on here and say, you've got to pick guys that can actually throw the ball from the pocket, because you can go and draft the runners and it doesn't, I think over time it doesn't work. They've got to be able to play quarterback from the pocket and then build it up from there. He might not be able to, but he might be the rare guy that's still, in my opinion, worth a punt, because unbelievable athlete and runner. And he does one thing really well, which is throw deep vertical routes beautifully. And I don't know, is there anyone who in the NFL's done well quite recently, being able to run the ball and throw the ball downfield on deep vertical routes beautifully? I don't know.
Can't think of anyone,
any team, So that for me is kind of it, is that I think he's one that the things that he does well, he does very well. And the things that he does badly, he kind of does terribly. And I think it seems to be a reoccurring trend here, is I think, it's always a bit of a sliding scale, isn't it? Between, are any prospects really, scheme proof, surroundings proof? No, but you get more or less leeway, with each one. I think this year all the QBs are going to be dependent, more than most years, on where they land, and he's probably the most dependent of it. If he can go somewhere where he can operate an offense, where he can do the things that he's good at, I could see there being some upside to him. But there are glaring holes, and if he starts getting asked to do those regularly, I think it could fall apart quite quickly.
Yeah, so I'm fascinated by him as a prospect. Every year in my rookie guide, if you want a copy, hit the join button down below. Come and get yourself a copy. Come and join the sanctuary. I do a thing called the riskometer, which is basically a scale of 1 to 10. What are the range of outcomes for this guy? And 1 is kind of out the league, 10 is elite fantasy option.
And his range is 1 to 11, right?
Yeah, there's very few players that are 1 to 10. I think Jalen Milroe, he needs something bigger. Like, he is one of the few players that I can honestly say, if we hit his 100th percentile outcome, he's the QB1. He's the 101 in all startup leagues. Like, his absolute ceiling is incredible. As you said, he pushes the ball downfield. Those are high value throws, and he's got elite rushing upside. But it's not just, he's going to add some yards with his legs. He can be a complementary part of this running game. They can build a run game around him. He can be used in and around the red zone. Like, his ceiling is incredible. I have some real serious issues with him. I think his accuracy is bad. Like, when he's moved off the spot, when he does get out of structure and try to create, his accuracy is bad. Like, it's not even a case of, when he doesn't set his feet, his accuracy goes. Like, his accuracy is just poor. Like, he misses throws consistently that he has to be making. And then between the ears, like, I don't know how many times I saw him go 1 to 2 on reads, let alone like 1 to 2 to 3. I don't think he diagnosed stuff pre-snap, post-snap. I think anything that he did, he was being told. Like, I've got real concerns about his processing ability. And I think sometimes you see him, like, a defense shows a look, it will shift post-snap, and then he's still trying to force the ball into the pre-snap look. And it's like, that's a fairly basic shift. Like, the safety drops across or something, and he's still trying to force the ball into receiver. And when it comes off, it's great. But there are far too many times where he's just completely not able to make that read. So I think he's going to need to sit for me. I think he's going to need time to develop. I think he's going to need a coach that's going to spend a lot of time with him. He's probably going to have to go away and rework footwork, basically his whole throw motion from the ground up. I think he's going to need to spend at least a year, if not 2, understanding the game, understanding the NFL level. And that makes it tough, because do you really want to draft a guy that you're then going to have to sit on a taxi squad for 2 years? Maybe when the ceiling's this high, but I have real concerns, because every time I watch the tape, I'm like, yeah, I get it. He's electric, but I really struggle to just see even the most basic of kind of quarterback traits when it comes to him as a passer.
Yeah, but did you see him throw a deep ball?
Yeah,
And
there's
that's
plenty of
what
them
I'm
in
talking
there.
about. Did you see him just run past people? That was pretty cool. And I mean, he's not, this player was far more polished, but it was a bit like, you know, when we did this last year, we talked about Jaden Daniels, and I think my pretty much comments was, just draft him because you'll have great fun watching him and knowing that he's yours. And actually, you know, he turned out even better than I think anyone anticipated on that. But yeah, I agree. And I think to be perfectly honest with you, where you get him is going to be so, and the team that you got. But also, I don't love any of these guys this year. And to me, like you said, he is the one that, you know, you could see him. I think he's one of those rare ones where he could be a better fantasy QB than real life, depending on his landing spot, because you have got that rushing upside. And I think in the right situation, he could be something, where some of the other guys I don't personally see it as much. I wouldn't. I think if you're in a situation where you're having to have him, you're in trouble. But if you get into that point in the draft where, you know, let's face it, it's not a great receiver draft. You know, maybe you've got a few backs or whatever, and you're not, you know, the ones that you like have gone, and you can afford to take a bit of a gamble. He's probably worth a gamble because, like you said, he probably doesn't come off most of the time. But I mean, can we honestly say that he was that different from film wise from Anthony Richardson?
I think the one difference I have that I still believe in Anthony Richardson with is that processing ability. Anthony Richardson was phenomenal at diagnosing defenses. He processed, he knew where to go with the ball. The problem was he wasn't accurate enough to get the ball there, but he at least does the mental side of playing quarterback at an above average rate. I didn't see that at all from Jalen Milroe, and that's the challenge I have. But I think, look, for me,
I can understand that, but the problem I think sometimes the problem with having that as a situation is that then if you're trying to read it but you don't have the arm talent to get it there, that's worse to me than not reading it. If it's all right, one read go, you can survive as an offense with that. You need some talent around it, but we have seen fantasy relevant quarterbacks. You know, I mean, Josh Dobbs was fantasy relevant for a few, you know, a few weeks there. Yeah. So I'm not saying like this is a guy with, you know, like, oh yeah, draft him in the top 5, and you know, you've sorted out one of your 2 QB slots in the super flex for the next 5 years. You know, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I could see a scenario where we're sitting down in 3 years' time, and if we were going to review this draft, I could see a scenario where he's a few things have lined up right, and we're talking about a top 16 quarterback, and not someone that you're ever, I'm going to build a team around, but because he's some rushing, because it's, you know, a coach that can get the most out of it. There's something there, but again, I think I would caution this with, there's also a high chance that there's absolutely nothing there. But like I said, I would stand by that. For me, you're right about the processing thing, but I don't think processing, if you can't get the ball there, isn't useful, is it? Like we've seen that with Anthony Richardson. So he was going top 2 in drafts. So I'm guessing you're going to be getting Milroe probably in the second round.
Yeah, I think that's it. Is it all comes down to cost. If I'm having to spend a top 20 pick on him, and that's a player that I'm kind of relying on expecting some return on, I'm probably not feeling that happy about it. If I can get him outside, you know, the top 20 as a late second round pick, early third round pick, I'm absolutely ecstatic to take the risk, because it's a guy that I'm expecting nothing from. And as we said, the ceiling is absolutely massive. But If you want to hear about other quarterbacks or other players that you need to be drafting in rookie drafts, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We are previewing every single fantasy relevant player that you need to know for your rookie drafts, all right here. So stick in the sanctuary.